Diaspora Rhythms Virtual Home Tour. This is our second installment of our four-part series. Today, we have the opportunity to visit Alita Tucker, the Alita Tucker Collection. Alita has been a member of Diaspora Rhythms for the last 8 years. She is a human resources professional, and she's also an extensive traveler. Today, you're going to get what we call a feast for your eyes. The architecture of her home, the light and energy in her home are completely reflective of the light and energy you experience in meeting and talking with Alita. So please sit back and enjoy the Alita Tucker Collection. Alita, thank you so very much for allowing us to come and visit you and your collection today. As I stated in the intro, every time I interact with you, I get such positive light from you, and that is so reflected in the architecture as well as the way that you have infused your collection with the architecture of your home. With all the light and energy, I see you clearly. So thank you for this opportunity.
It's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm grateful to have it, so thank you.
Okay, so I would like to start off with, if you could, share with us your perspective on how you collect art of the African diaspora.
Dee, I think, my collection has very much been influenced by my network of friends. And so I would say the person most influential in that regard has been Candace Hunter. Candace is a sister to me, a dear, dear friend. And through her and the people I've met through her and being in her home and seeing the work that she collects as well as her own art, it was the start. I mean, I was able to purchase some of her art, and from there I met, through Candace, I met Patrick McCoy, I met Chevette Williams, I met Gail Stan, and through that group I became a part of Diaspora Rhythms. So it really has been all about a network of people who love art and are makers of art and collectors of art, and my being influenced by them.
So how does that reflect in your collection?
I would say that it's interesting. I don't necessarily collect a particular thing. I know that I'm drawn to landscapes. Mm-hmm. I'm drawn to abstract art. I don't necessarily, for example, I don't think I have any photographs or photorealistic images in my collection. It tends to be sort of softer images. I just gravitate toward things that make me feel good. Lots of bright colors, lots of texture. As I've been thinking about it, when I do go for things that are representational, there's something about eyes that are attractive to me. I like images that have eyes in them. So it's pretty eclectic, I guess is what I'd say.
So you'd rather us have the time to interpret what we're seeing as opposed to it being so clearly defined?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What is your signature piece, and what's the story behind it?
Well, I would say the piece that I would definitely grab if the building were on fire is a Sydney Back piece. He's a South African artist, and it's a small piece. It's an image of the Transvaal in South Africa, and it has some very small images of villagers and their dwellings, and I don't know, there's just something that pulls me into it. And the story behind it is that when my mom was alive, one of her card club members, when it was her turn to host, she would host at the Archie Listenby Gallery on 18th and Halsted is where it used to be located. And every time I went in there, I would fall in love with one of the pieces in his gallery, because he was a purveyor of African American art. So this was the first piece that I fell in love with, and it was actually sold, and the sale didn't go through, and so I was able to get it, and it's in my kitchen right now. I love it.
What impact has Diaspora Rhythms had on you as a collector and being part or engaged with a group of people that share your passion?
A tremendous impact. First of all, the warmth and the generosity and just the fun spirit of the Diasporal Rhythm members has been very appealing and welcoming. And I would say seeing how the different collectors whose homes I've been in, every one of them has stunning collections that are all show up in different ways, but yet there's this similarity in terms of you see the passion for art. You see that it encompasses every part of their dwelling space, and I think that not only have they through looking at their work and the people who they collect and being inspired by that has affected me, as well as their scholarly knowledge of the art that they're collecting. So that's something that is an aspirational for me. I want to become more knowledgeable about contemporary artists of the African diaspora, of the African diaspora, excuse me.
It's amazing the knowledge base that they have about the various artists and when and where and how they encountered those artists and then brought them into their collection.
Absolutely, and that's so intriguing to me. And I think that's the other piece. Being a part of Diaspora Rhythms has enabled me to meet artists and interact with artists that I would never have met or interacted with had it not been for the group.
And then added to your collection.
Absolutely.
Okay. The one thing that I think is important to note is that during this time of the pandemic, are people collecting? So I wonder, what are you collecting as of now? Where are you at with the process?
Yeah. For me, the pandemic has been more of a time of reflection. And so I haven't actually collected as much as others, because I do think there's a lot of collecting going on during the pandemic. Just the fact that people being in their homes causes them to see what might be missing or what they might want to shift. For me, what I've collected has been art that is engaged in messaging around health issues and social injustice issues. So some of the pieces that Candace Hunter has done that have been used as billboards for the city of Chicago to send positive messages around COVID awareness has been appealing to me. And just seeing the impact that artists can have on improving these sorts of conditions. So Candace, Dorian Sylvain, and other artists have billboards up around the city that have inspired people to take actions that they might not to be safe during this pandemic. So those are some of the pieces that I haven't put up yet.
So everybody's got that little corner.
I've got my art corner. It's back there.
Okay. Yeah. So even though you're not buying, it's now an opportunity to bring forth.
Right.
I wouldn't say hoarding, but just waiting for their turn.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. They're in the queue.
Yes, in the queue. With our mission in mind, to expand, this, what we call this disease we have of this collecting, never stopping, right? What advice would you give to someone who's watching this or knows about what we do and says, how do I start? Where do I start? What do I do? What would you tell them?
I would say that instead of collecting mugs or keychains when they travel, to pick up a piece of art from a part of the world that you're exploring to be a keepsake and a memory of that trip. Because there's so much art that is modestly priced that's available to us these days. When I was in college, I was buying posters of the masters and the impressionists and, thumbtacking it into my walls. But I would say instead of doing that, buy something small, something affordable. You'd be surprised how far $20 or $30 or $50 can get you. I have a piece of art that a friend of mine brought me back. I gave her $50. She was going to Cuba and said, just bring me back something. And she brought me back this amazing little drawing and gave me $20 in change.
Wow.
So
and
it's
quite a
there.
phenomenal piece too that you
I
shared
like
with
it.
us.
I like it.
I think that's great. One of the things that I get the benefit out of these interviews, I learned from every collector. And one of the things that I learned from Lisa McDonald is don't be afraid of the scale, the size of the work, And so when you look around your collection, I want people to notice the various sizes of the works that you have and how they're integrated together, because the way we hang our art is different than that of a gallery and different than, of the exhibition space. There's a certain, what I've been able to see, diaspora rhythm style of hanging the art. And so I asked you about the symmetry of your collection and how that came to be, and you said you had a little help.
That's true. I have to say that 90% of the art has been hung by Chevette Williams, so she's my go-to person. I am not good at nails and walls or anything related to that, so she's been the brains behind how these things are hung, and she sees with different eyes than I do, and I'm very grateful for that. Candace Hunter has also hung some pieces for me and done a phenomenal job, but it is not me. It's my ability is to identify talented people to help me, so I'm grateful for them.
And thank you for sharing that. For emerging collectors don't want to take on the weight of curating because they don't know, and it's good to be able to seek help for those who know. I often wonder if other people do what I do, and that is, I had the opportunity recently to have to reconfigure some artwork because my son was moving out his furniture from the house, so we had to take everything out of the hallway down the stairwell. A lot of work had to be moved, but it provided me an opportunity to reconfigure it. And then as a result of that, I was just wondering if other people sit in different areas of the room as they enjoy their space. Do you do that?
Absolutely. So there are 3 spots that I can sit in this room. I like sitting in the couch. The couch is my favorite spot, but I also sometimes sit in that green chair, which I love, and that not only gives me a view of other angles of this room, but it goes the length of the apartment, so down through the dining room and the kitchen and out the back door. And then sometimes I'll sit on the side that you're sitting on, which gives you a totally different angle back through this south-facing window. And each view is appealing to me and I think is beautiful. And so I'm very grateful to have so many different spaces and spots just in one room that draw me in and give me joy through what I can see.
And what we're dealing with, and even if we weren't dealing with what we've been dealing with of late, in any time, I always like to ask this question. When you come home, how does your collection greet you?
Oh, wow. I feel welcomed. I absolutely feel welcomed. I feel a sense of joy, a sense of, ooh, mommy's home, and I kind of walk around and take it in because I just feel very grateful. I remember when literally, I was jealous of people who had beautiful art because I didn't feel like I could afford it, or how could I ever, get beyond money for the essentials. And so being able to have the discretionary income to um, have some art is really a great joy for me. And I'm glad that I can enjoy it, and glad that I can hopefully again soon invite other friends in to enjoy it. Something I look forward to.
Is the key to that sense of well-being a part of the fact that these are African American artists that created the works that contribute to the space?
Absolutely. There's no question about the importance and the um, I feel like I've had the ability to pay it a little bit forward, and to support African American artists in their being able to continue to do this work. And just, I think part of it is knowing artists. Before I knew artists, honestly, I would be one of those people who would haggle about prices. And now, if an artist tells me their price, I know how much time they've spent in creating it and getting the right pieces, and making it look just so. And I honor that, and either I get it or I don't. I can afford it or I can't, but I'm not going to denigrate the work that they've put forth by thinking that I should haggle for a lower price. I wouldn't do that in Nordstrom or Macy's, so I'm not going to do it with an artist.
Right.
So yeah, I'm grateful that I hope that I can support artists in being able to continue to accomplish more and more.
So what's next?
I don't know. I about a year or two ago, I started getting more three-dimensional objects, and that has been wonderful. I was in the past only collecting two-dimensional. So I don't know, I don't want to be one of those little old ladies who's shimmying through, a trail of newspapers on either side. So whatever comes next might mean something needs to go. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to exploring.
Yes.
I'll continue to explore, and also continuing to learn, probably on a more scholarly level, about the movement.
Wonderful. I thank you so very much for allowing us this time with you and your wonderful home and your collection.
Thank you, Dee. Thanks for being here.